Well, hello there. It's Coachess, Goddess, Mentoress, Karen-Eileen Gordon. That's a mouthful. Welcoming you warmly, a few minutes early, to the January 27th, 2022 Voiceover Office Hours, first of the new year. Very, very exciting to be here with you. I'm going to pause this recording until the top of the hour, and I can't wait to get started. We're going to do a lot of juicy questions today came in, and we're going to do some radical self-care for voiceover artists, a little color meditation. So see you in just a second. Hello, wonderful humans, and welcome to the January 2022 Voiceover Office Hours. So nice to see you. So nice to be with you. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me okay. Yes, awesome. Always like to check that before I launch into an hour-long discussion with people. Very important to check. All right, hold on, let me make sure Zoom knows what's going on here. Yes, we do. I have been sent a big, beautiful pile of questions, and so we're going to dive right into questions today. But before I do that, I just want to check in with everybody. How are you doing? How is January treating you? Just pop in the chat how you are. Give me a word or two. How are you feeling today? Give me a word. Give me a phrase. Give me a check-in. Teeny little check-in in the chat. And if you cannot check on the chat, then psychically send it. Fantastic. Can't get much better than that, Peter says. I'm going to read some of these comments. For those of you listening in playback, in the review, you are so welcome here. You are here in spirit. Sharon says she's ready to take 2022 on. Really, really good. Beauteous. All right, so before I get to the beautiful giant pile of questions here, does anybody who's present in the room, some of the questions are from some of you in the room, but some of them are not. So for those of you who didn't send in questions in advance, you're here with me. Do you have any questions you want to start off with? You can pop them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. I will unmute you. Either one is fine, just checking. We've got a big, beautiful hour together, so there's lots of time for you to ask questions if they come up. Looking, scanning, looking. All right, we're going to dive right in. And what we're going to do at the end of this hour, the last 15 minutes or so, and you let me know if you like this format. Office hours, I want to be customized for what will most help you. My goal, here comes David H. Noyes the 17th, making an entrance. The last 15 minutes will be for radicalselfcare.com. Today, we're going to do something called a color meditation or a chakra meditation. And for those of you unfamiliar, I'm going to talk you very briefly through the chakra system, and then we're going to do a little meditation before we close out. Now, I want to hear from you. So if the radical self-care is going to be part of every office hours now, because I want to empower you to be a thriving voiceover artist. And so if you prefer to start at the top of the hour with the radical self-care, take a break in the middle, do it at the end. I kind of want to hear how it's working for you. And if you're trying any of those tools, I'd love to know what you're trying and how it's going. So let's dive in with some questions. Here we go. These are from Peter. Hello, Peter. So nice to see you. Thank you for your beautiful questions. Let's see. The first one is, what is the best way to check on the quality of submissions? Oh, that's juicy. So juicy. So my first thought there is that if you're using Audacity, which I think you still are, yes, and I think you're on the AT 2020 USB Plus, is that correct as well? Or are you on a different? Yeah, okay, great. So in Audacity, there is a sound meter. One of them has a teeny little mic, and one of them has a little speaker. The one you're really concerned about is the one near the mic. And that will tell you when you are plugged in and you're sitting in your recording space and ready to record, when you're silent and you're checking the sound in the room to make sure it's broadcast quality in your raw file, which is what we want, that you see no green bars whatsoever. So there's a little phrase in the center of that meter. And for any of you who don't know what I'm talking about, those of you listening in archive, if this sounds like a Martian to you, please reach out to me via email, and I'm happy to explain. What I'm talking about is using the recording software Audacity, which is what I use and recommend. There's lots of really good ones, but I adore Audacity. does everything you need and more as a thriving professional voiceover artist. So in an open Audacity window at the top right, typically, it could be different depending on how it's sized, the window, or if you need to reset the toolbars. But in general, there's a meter there. And when you click on the phrase, click to start monitoring, click once, then your mic is listening. You don't need to record a thing. The mic is just listening. And when you click to start monitoring and you're watching that meter, you should see no green bars whatsoever, nothing. If you see green bars when you've clicked on click to start monitoring, that means the noise in your space, what we call the noise floor, how noisy is it when the mic is listening and you're not talking? If you're seeing the green bar, that means the noise floor is a little too hot. It's a little too loud in your room when you're recording. And if that's the case, your file will be a little distorted and the quality will be less awesome than if you were at broadcast quality industry standard noise floor, which is minus 60, which is, by the way, the left meter. The left end of that meter, if they could have put a number instead of LR for left right, they would have put the number minus 60. So if you're not seeing the green bar when it's quiet, the green bar exists, but it's to the left of what you can read, which means it's at minus 60. Now, if you're not at minus 60, that opens up a whole beautiful can of voiceover worms about how do you get yourself to minus 60 in your space. So if you're using the AT2020 USB Plus in Audacity, there's a little slider ball. I call it purple. Some people call it blue. If you hover over, there's 3 of them. If you hover over them, they'll tell you what they are. You're looking for input recording volume or recording volume. Somebody pop in the chat, tell me what it is. I don't have Audacity open. Is it recording volume or input recording volume? My brain isn't telling me the exact phrasing.
Input recording volume.
Thank you, David H. Lawrence the 17th. Input recording volume. That's on a slider. And that is in Audacity what's called gain, G-A-I-N, gain. And gain, if it's hard right, let's say it's at 0.79 or 0.80, if you hover over it, it'll tell you where it is. That means you're at 79 or 80% out of 100 of the maximum capacity of gain or loudness you could have in your recording software. So you always want to know where your gain is. So if you're not at minus 60, you want to experiment with gently moving that little slider ball down. And I mean gently, a degree or 2 at a time. If you're at 0.80, which is 80%, and it's too loud in there, go to 0.79 and check again. Go to 0.78. What about 0.77? Where do you have to be? How low do you have to be? And this is, we're not done here, but how low do you have to be on your slider to get to minus 60 in your space? Now, the other magical thing there in terms of checking the quality of your recording is, in addition to being at minus 60 when it's quiet, when you're speaking, that green meter will be going, according to how you're talking. You can watch it when you're talking, green bar, green bar, green bar. You want that green bar when you're speaking mostly at minus 12. So again, minus 60 when you're quiet, minus 12 when you're talking. And there's so many factors that affect that. One of them is what's going on in your space. Do you have heating or AC or traffic or a lot of like hard, flat surfaces around you? That's one element. What's in the space? What's outside you? Another element is, where is your mic positioning? If you're too far away from the mic, you want to get closer because that'll boost your recording volume. What's happening with your chair? Is it squeaky and noisy? Do you have lots of squishy things covering your table? There's a lot of factors, but the first thing to do to check the quality is to see where your gain is, to be Boy Scout salute, 3 fingers away from your mic. So not 5 fingers, banana phone, 5 to 7 fingers, not banana phone, 3 fingers. So 3 fingers from the front of your mic. And to check and to test. And every time you change something in your studio, sir, and anybody listening, you want to retest. So if you put up some foam, you want to test again. How high can you give that input recording and still be at minus 60 and minus 12? So it's like a ballet. There's a lot of things happening that come together. But the long answer to your short question is, the way to check quality is to check and see what's going on with your native file and in your studio before you even record. Because the closer, I see you, sir, 1 second. The closer you can get to broadcast quality industry standard with your raw recording, the more beautiful your finished file will be. David H. Lawrence the 17th has some thoughts. We always welcome them, sir.
I just have a question. The question as I heard it was, how do we check on the quality of our audition submissions? And I wanted to confirm that what he was asking about was technical quality as opposed to performance quality.
What a great, yeah, it was technical, was it? Sure. Okay. If okay, that's a thank you. That's a very, very good. It's a very good ask. Yes, we're a small group today. Unless you've got a really noisy space going on, why doesn't everybody unmute? Let's have a little chat. Do I need to ask you to unmute? Ask to unmute. If you can't unmute, if it's noisy in there, go ahead and keep yourself muted. Or if you're at work, please ignore my ask to unmute. But if you're able to unmute, go ahead and do it. Let's have a little conversation. Okay. All right. So, Sharon, you had a question in line with?
Well, yeah, I guess my question is, after all of this time, are you a fan of being as high as you can on your recording and going as high as possible, whether it's 80% or 85%, and still staying at 60 dB? Or are you okay with the fact that you can get a decent recording professional quality at 72% as long as you're at 60, minus 60?
So you want, that's a great question, and let me make sure I understand it. So let's say you're at 0.72 for your input recording. You still always want to be at minus 12 when you're recording. So you can move that gain around all you want, but you don't want to cheat the system. Meaning in the beginning, and I did this pointing at myself, I had a lot of noise around me. So I was like, oh, if I go to 0.45 input recording volume, so I'm at 45%, I can get to minus 60. Well, then in order to get to minus 12, I had to yell.
Oh,
So you definitely don't want that.
because I'm at, well, I just happened to, my Audacity was open when you asked that question, and I was at about 68.
0.68, 68%. And so and when you're speaking at 0.68, what is your recording level? Do you know? Because
that's where I'm finally getting to, between 6 and 12.
So good. Yeah, you want to max out at 12. David, did you have a thought?
Well, you want to max out at 6. The numbers are the other way around.
Yes,
6 is the higher one.
Minus 12 and minus 6. No more.
Yeah, exactly. So the AT2020 in particular comes off the assembly line with its input level usually being at its best between 0.65 and 0.7. You don't want to be much higher than that, or you'll be sending way too much signal to Audacity, and you'll naturally be, if you're set too high, your peak will be too high. You'll be peaking higher than minus 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then a lot of red coming in.
Yeah. You don't want a lot of red. So if you're seeing a lot of red, then you want to back off, and back off could mean back off the mic, but I don't recommend that because you want the nice warm quality of the mic. So you want to squeeze your gain down a little bit, your input.
Right. I would also just caution you very, very carefully, because I understand what Karen-Eileen was trying to get to. I would caution you to be careful not to pull that input level down too much in the way she's described the first step. I do that step second rather than first.
Everybody has a different process. Absolutely. Yeah.
But the reason I do is I don't want to be tempted to pull it down to 0.5 just to get my noise floor low enough, and then try to figure out why I'm not peaking between minus 6 and minus 12.
Correct. So in the example I gave, which was me and David H. Lawrence the 17th helping me, I was at 0.45 and yelling, which you do not, did I mention do not want to do? Not beauty.
So it was just a matter of, I was concerned because I couldn't get to that where I needed to be. Yeah. And we made some adjustments in the space itself to keep it at the minus 60. And finally, I just want to make sure that I'm not too low. So I think I'm almost at that sweet spot.
So, but you won't ever have to, I see what you're saying. You want to make sure the input recording wasn't too low?
It's out of 100%. So I was concerned that at 65, I might still be too low, but if it's good, it's good.
Well, but here's the thing. So, points, and it's really good to know about the 0.65 to 0.70. That's really good to know. That's the sweet spot. But if you're at minus 60 when you're quiet, and you're between minus 12 and maxing at minus 6, you are good. Those are the two metrics to pay attention to. So are
Yeah,
you?
and I also want to make sure that, because it's been said a couple of times, minus 65 to minus 70, it's 0.65 to 0.70 for the setting.
Yes, for input recording it's decimal point, 0.65, 0.70, noise floor, minus 60 dB.
Yeah.
And here's something that somebody said to me the other day, which was really interesting. So when the green bar is to the left of the meter, so you're at minus 60 dB or quieter, that is awesome. That is what we're going for. Somebody said to me on acx.com, which is a beautiful hub for audiobooks. If you don't know about it, we'll talk about it. Minus 60 dB noise floor is the level at which the files don't fail. So people who are at minus 65 dB, that's okay. Minus 70 dB, that's okay. But the place where you want to get to is no green bar showing when the mic is listening, minus 60 dB quiet in your space. But I thought it was really interesting that is what we're aiming for, but it's really okay. You don't want to be at minus 200 dB, then there's probably something crazy with your settings. But minus 60 dB is the cutoff at which you will pass quality control.
In a professional setting where you're going to the publisher or you're sitting in their booth, what is that off the bat? I mean, we're trying at a home studio to get there, but they're recording you at what? At least minus 65, 70?
I'm going to let David take this because David works quite a bit with Penguin Random House. He's a very, very good resource. So, sir, do you want to answer that one? It's a great question.
Yeah. So the usual, because it's a logarithmic scale, it gets bigger as it gets down deeper, the changes. Usually a studio is between 0.7 or minus 75 dB and minus 80 dB.
Yeah, so
that's considered a pretty quiet studio. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if you are getting readings any lower than that in your home studio, there's likely something wrong. And ACX Check, which is the plugin that you would use to check your noise floor, it will warn you if you get down to a level that's like, hey, are you using a gate? Are you using something that's inserting silence? Mm-hmm. Because what you're showing me is crazy quiet, usually not achievable in a home setting. So we're kind of warning you about this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. ACX Check, for those of you who don't know, ACX Check is a plugin that works beautifully with Audacity. And when you're finished with your audiobook file that needs to be mastered in a certain manner, you can select that file and choose ACX Check, and you will get a series of numbers that will tell you pass or fail on some markers that are very, very important to acx.com before you send the file. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful tool. Very great questions. Good. Anything else before we move on? I got a list of them, but I want to take the questions that are in the room first, obviously. Good. Okay, great. I'm going to hydrate. Those of you who know me know that I love hydration. One of my favorite teachers says that 15 minutes of intense learning will dehydrate you. It takes 100 muscles to produce speech. Keeping those muscles hydrated makes you sound lovely and improves your voiceover storytelling. Plus, your body likes it. So please hold for hydration. Very good. Get on there, little tight cap. All right. Let's see. This is, let me see. When I submit an audition, should I send the raw take or clean it up for noise, etc.? I would say clean it up for noise, etc. So when you're sending in an audition, you want to make sure that the silence at the start and the end is clean, minus 60 dB. That's what we're hoping for in your studio. If it's noisy, if you bumped a chair, if the cat meowed in the beginning, then you want to copy and paste some clean silence in the beginning. You want to take out any doubles that you don't want to include in your read. You definitely want to clean it up. And there's a process for, I guess what you would call mastering an audition. You want to use normalization. If none of this makes sense to you, this is beyond the scope of what we're going to do in office hours, but reach out to me. I can have a conversation with you. There's been only once in my voiceover career that somebody has said to me, a client has said to me, please send us the raw file. So has that ever happened to me? Yes, it has. But 999 times out of 1,000, you're going to want to clean it up and make it beautiful and send it in that way. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. Let's see. Talking about a shift from voices.com to voices123 and not much action going on there. So you all know, because I've talked about this before, and I always hold a space for organizations and people to do better. I hold that space. And while I am holding that space, my very gentle recommendation to you would be to step away from voices.com and to instead look at Voice123. And if you're not getting traction on Voice123, the other two sites that my clients and students have enjoyed exploring are Voquent, 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 and Bodalgo, B like berries, O, D like David, ALGO, Bodalgo. Those two. And if you're an audiobook person and you're in that world, because audiobooks require some really specific training and knowledge, and we have a question about that I will send to Mr. Lawrence in a moment, because we've got some questions about some of the trainings. If you're in the audiobook world and you're ready to audition and work there, you want to know about AHAB, AHAB. It's an audiobook site that is owned by Penguin Random House. So there's so many places for you to work outside of acx.com when you are ready. And the first step, obviously, is you want to get ready. You want to get good. You want to get your game on. And that's part of the reason I'm here. And beautiful instructors like David are here, and the villages are here to help you. So, and this also sort of opens up the question about what, if anything, can we do to increase our chances on any of these sites. There are people who will take some money from you and talk about suggestions. And the truth is, everybody likes to network and market in a very different manner. And so I would just suggest that you try something. Maybe you're going to send an email to all your agents and let them know you're working on these sites. Maybe if you've submitted auditions on these sites, I don't know, forgive me because I'm not on all of them. If there's a way to contact people that you've submitted to and follow up with them, I don't know if there's a way to do that, but just to gently, there's not. Okay. Oh yes, and thank you very much. Another really good site for audiobook people is Findaway, FINDAWAY, findawayvoices.com. Findaway is actually has been around for a very long time, and they were the company that actually put audiobooks on recorders with headphones in libraries. That was like their first foray into the audiobook universe. That's how they started. And in the past few years, they've launched their own audiobook division. It's become very popular. It's really wonderful. It's very legitimate, and it's worth checking out for sure. Let me see. And if anybody in the village has a group conscience and a brain trust here. So if any of you have been on Voice123 and have found something that has been successful to you in terms of garnering some traction or interacting more with clients there or getting more auditions, please feel free to pop it in the chat or let me know you want to come off mute. If you're doing something that has worked for you, we want to share, obviously. Okay. Let's see, some more questions. How are we doing? Everybody doing okay? I'm watching the time. Love these questions. Here we go. Oh, this is juicy. If we are non-union, great, and get paid upfront from a client, also great. Can we decide to pay pension out of that after the fact that we got paid? For example, if I got $250 per finished hour of work, for IVR or created content, the client would pay me directly. Can I, out of that payment, pay pension and dues directly and afterwards? Can you pay taxes? Wow, this is juicy. So, and this is from Susan. Hi, Susan. And so Susan's in the room in case we need any clarification. So, Susan, you're a SAG-AFTRA member, is that correct? Not a SAG-AFTRA member. Okay. So if you are wanting to do pension and health, that assumes that you've got an AFTRA or a SAG-AFTRA pension and health account set up.
Okay.
David, you can tell me this. Are they still split, the SAG pension and the after pension plan? Are they still split in terms of like a non-union person being able to set them up?
There's a couple of different questions in there, but
I know.
the answer is yes, you can still call the AFTRA health and retirement plan and set up an account, even if you're not a union member.
It's a federal legal requirement. They can't block you from having a pension account, even if you're not a union member. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and what about, do you know about SAG as well? Is it the same with
So
SAG?
there's a lot going on with the SAG plans, and I would save myself some heartache and concentrate on AFTRA being the case. I think I know what you're saying, and I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
Because you've already been paid, and unless it's very recent and you can kind of fudge it and go, I just got the check, you know.
She could go through a paymaster, which is what I want to talk about.
Oh, if you went through a paymaster, then you're I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. So not union, but let's say you wanted to call AFTRA and set up a pension and health account as a non-union person, you can do that. And then let's say you get an audiobook for $250 per finished hour, which is the baseline if you want to contribute to pension and health per finished hour. You would use a paymaster, and the paymaster takes the money from your client. So the client would pay the paymaster. The paymaster takes out taxes for you. The paymaster pays pension and health to AFTRA. The paymaster sends you your check. So as a non-union person, if you're getting if you're getting AFTRA rates, the way to have it count towards your account is to use a paymaster. Okay. We could talk for hours about any one of these questions. Let me see.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. On acx.com, if a book is not there for you to buy the rights, can you just record it? No, I'm so sorry, you cannot. The person who wrote the book is, unless they've transferred the rights to a publisher or an estate, somebody is the rights holder of the book, and you'll hear that a lot in the audiobook world, RH or rights holder. So the rights holder is the one who has the power to put the book on acx.com and hire a narrator. Now, the other piece of information you gave, which is so sweet, is that you want to record your nephew's children's book as a thank you and a love note. Can you go on there and share the profits with him? Oh, that's so sweet. You can't do it on ACX, but you can record it in digital files the exact same way as if it were on ACX, present it to him as a digital download or a CD, and then have a chat with him about whether or not he wants to put it on as an ebook first, where it has to be as a Kindle in order to bring it to ACX, and then on ACX, and then you can share the profits for sure. He can hire you, or you can upload the audio and he can share the profits with you. But all of it starts with him first being, that book being a Kindle on Amazon that gets ported into ACX. It's a great question. Yeah, you're very welcome.
So I'm in, just a quick question on that. I'm in this similar position with somebody, but that person is overseas, but that doesn't matter because ACX is international, right?
So I believe David H. Lawrence the 17th will jump in. So I believe for us based in North America, I believe it's the US, Canada, Australia. Not Australia, no more Australia. David H. Lawrence the 17th, will you take this question?
Okay.
It never was Australia.
Oh yes, I thought it was Australia. Boo.
Boo hiss.
Boo hiss.
It's anybody who is based in the US, Canada, Ireland, or the UK.
Woohoo. Okay.
And so there are even workarounds if they're not based in those places, but they're kind of dicey.
I don't recommend dicey, by the way. Yeah.
No. It's actually totally legal and totally within the rules. They have to add you as a role player in their Kindle book as narrator. There are many roles that you can add in Kindle author, co-author, publisher, narrator, illustrator. And so once that gets added, you then here in the States pull it in. But if they're in the UK, you're good to go.
Oh, interesting. So, and where is your author based, if we may ask? Did you say?
In the UK, in a
in the
small
UK.
town. Yeah. So when David said UK, cool. And I've already, reached, muted myself. They're thinking about it for the new year. So young author. So if I could do the same thing, that would get them here, and it would be helpful for everyone. So we're giving it a shot.
That's
So just to
fantastic.
clarify, you don't have to do what I described by asking them to add you as the narrator.
Yeah.
All they have to do is use ACX as it stands. It's open to them to do that, and you can be the narrator here without any shenanigans.
Right. So
Right. I'm just gathering as much information that I can present to them so they don't have to do the work. That'll make it easier too, I think.
So good.
I'll keep you posted.
That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And I would say to all of you who are interested in the audiobook world, as you are ramping up and getting awesome and getting ready to be in it, if that calls you, who in your world has a book? Friend, family member, colleague, in our own backyard. Often there are so many opportunities to ask to partner and bring our beautiful voice services to someone who it would benefit, their service, their world, their heart. Lots of ways to do that. So that's fantastic. All right, let's see. Questions. Oh, David H. Lawrence 17th. This question is for you, basically. Can you describe the difference between voheroes.com and acxmasterclass.com? And there's a third one in there because the question has to do with, does it deal with IPA, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet? And I'm thinking, of course, of Jim Johnson. So, David, one of the benefits of having a voiceover village is that if you don't have the answer, if I don't have the answer, somebody in the village has the answer. So I'm connected to lots of other teachers and villages, and so is David. And we partner with them. So David, I want you to talk about it. What is the difference? I mean, I know the difference, but you're the originator, co-teacher. Talk about the difference between acx.com and voheroes.com, and also talk about the accents class, if you would, please, for people who might be interested.
So the IPA part is a third piece of that, or
the question was, does either of those, voheroes.com or ACX Masterclass, deal with IPA, accents, and dialects?
No.
Okay. And does Jim Johnson, I haven't been through Jim's class yet, but does Jim deal with IPA?
Oh yeah, he bases his entire training
right?
on not only helping you know what's going on, and by the way, he's open for registration right now. So I can put a link in the chat.
Link.
Okay. But he does, from a technical perspective, where in the mouth these sounds occur, what these sounds are in the IPA, how they're formed and how they slide into one another.
Mm-hmm.
And then his real superpower is when he lets you take all that technical information and use it effectively in performance, because he's an actor as well as a voice coach.
Mm-hmm. So
he, but VO Heroes is kind of like the 4-year college experience when it comes to voiceover. Yeah. ACX Masterclass is a very deep dive. It's kind of like going overseas for a year and taking an immersive course in audiobook narration. The ACX Masterclass was born of the 7 or 8 courses within the 40-course curriculum of VO Heroes that deal with audiobooks.
Yeah.
So it's a subset and a very deep dive. You get similar information, but I use the ACX Masterclass as the crucible for kind of designing the changes, teaching the changes in the industry, and then I bring those over once I know they work into VO Heroes. So VO Heroes is kind of a superset of that. So everything else that we do in voiceover, equipment, other categories of work, building your business, mindset training, that's all part of VO Heroes. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference.
And you'll pop Jim Johnson's link, please, in the chat. Jim Johnson, very good gentleman to know. I did a...
Okay, so let me just, you want me to put in Jim's information or information for registering for the accents class?
Oh, I would say, can they register and say I was in office hours and I heard about you, or whatever you want to do here. I just want people to be able to get to him.
All right, I'll just put the accents. He has a link on his site for this, so let me. I'll put it in the chat. I'll figure out which link to put in.
No stress. Okay, thank you for the description. And by the way, I'm a graduate of voheroes.com, which was formerly vo2gogo.com, and also did the ACX Masterclass, which I believe launched my audiobook career. It was responsible for launching my career. So I found out about audiobooks, didn't know anything about them, in VO Heroes, or vo2gogo, formerly known as, the curriculum formerly known as, and acx.com really gave me, the ACX Masterclass really gave me all the tools to rock my audiobook universe. So, okay, let's see. I'm watching the time because I want to have enough. Oh, let me do, hi, Phil. Hi, let me read your question here. Yay, question. I'm going to read this out loud for those who don't have access to the chat. Phil just relocated to LA from Florida. Hey, welcome to Lala. Had to downsize immensely, living in a tiny studio apartment. Yes, indeed. I relate very much to that. It's a tiny little box. Phil has VO equipment in storage, want to set up a home studio. The problem, lack of space, a lot of noise. Sounds like being in a motel room. Neighbors, street noise, construction next door, outside. What ideas do you have? What ideas do you have as far as vocal booth or partitions? Oh man, that's juicy. Phil is sort of leaning towards the Isovox 2 or the Auralex Maxwell 1141. Am I familiar with either of those? If so, what are your opinions on them? I am not personally familiar with either of those. I have a whisper room. It's 4x6. I don't need that much space, but it's only 4x6 because I was very lucky and I found it on Craigslist from a musician who had to leave the country. So for all of you who are considering a booth, I would make sure and check both eBay and Craigslist for the booths you are aiming to purchase and see what is available there. You might be able to get a really wonderful deal. The gold standard for the voiceover artist universe, as far as I understand it, is called studio bricks. They come from Italia, I believe, and they are put togetherable with you and a little bit of help, maybe not solo, and they're phenomenal. They are an investment. And now I'm gonna vet this idea. I have this idea popping in my head, and I want to find out if this is correct. David H. 9th to 17th, are you in the process of offering to build booths for people in the Southern California area? Is that correct?
Yeah, we do it on a one-off basis.
Okay.
We've done it for Chris. We did it for Michaela.
Okay.
We did it. The original one that I designed and installed is now at the Find Your Voice Center in the Inland Empire. It's beautiful. We drop the total. It's based on plans that were made available online many years ago, and do a really good job of dropping the noise floor down. What I would caution you about those two things that you mentioned,
The Isovox 2 or the Auralex Max, or the two that I mentioned?
Yeah, those two. Phil.
Yeah.
Those are meant for reducing reverberance and noise within the room.
Right.
They will be 100% ineffective in stopping outside noise
Neighbors.
from getting in.
The leaf blower. Yeah.
The neighbor, the hotel stuff, that's not going to be fixed by these things.
All right. You have a tiny space, but I'm wondering if your tiny space has like a tiny walk-in closet or a closet where you could squish in there. I'm guessing not. But if it does, a closet where you can get in and close the door is often like hitting the voiceover sound booth lottery. So tiny spaces often don't have that, but if you do, you might squish in there and see if, and you want you to be comfortable. And as you know from previous voiceover office hours, I want you to be ferociously comfortable, not just the closet is taken up. Okay. All right. So let's see. So I want to check. So David, you sent the link directly to me. Did you want to do that?
I didn't want to post it without your blessing.
Oh, yes. You may post it.
Okay.
Give information to humans. Give them information. Let's see. All right. I think we're going to do one more question and then we're going to do some radical self-care here. What website platform do I prefer for VO websites? You're very welcome, Phil. Great question. And please come back. It's very exciting that you're in a new town. LA is my kind of town. Love me some LA. So hope it's a beautiful settling in for you. What website platform do I prefer? I'm on DreamHost. That's what I like. And I get my domains from GoDaddy, but it's hosted on DreamHost. And my site is built using WordPress. Now, in the beginning, I had a Wix website, and the only challenge with Wix is you can't migrate that from Wix to another site. If you decide you want to move it around, it's sort of locked into Wix. But if you build a site on WordPress, you can port it. And if the place you're starting is Wix, please know that is a fine place to start. But that is what I do. That is what I do, and that's where I host. That's what I like.
So if you buy it from GoDaddy, is that
GoDaddy does offer hosting, but I only buy the domain name, Karen-Eileen.com, just the name, and then I point the name towards the DreamHost site. Does that make sense? Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
You're so welcome. So welcome. Any other questions from any of our guys who show guys and Gaias? I had somebody say Gaia is the alternate to Guy. Guys and Gaias. Any of the guys and Gaias? Any other questions before we move into some radical self-care? Anybody? How are we doing? Everybody doing okay? Great. Thank you, David, for that link. That is Dan O'Day's accent class. Jim Johnson. I did a webinar with Jim and David, and Jim coached me into doing an authentic Northern Irish accent in the course of an hour. It was pretty great, terrifying and great. He's a very, very, very good reference indeed. All right, so
Are you going to show it off?
No. No, I am not. Oh no. It was like when you memorize something for a test and you don't use it and it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. It vanished. Yes. But I was there for a shining moment. I was there. And I know if I ever need one again, I will go back to him and we will drop into the center of it. But thank you for asking. That's very
because you have muscle memory and you just need refresher.
That's
yeah, here's the thing. With the accents class, you get an entire library of reference materials, learning materials to get you back to where you were during that session.
Yes.
And included in it, he updates them on a regular basis. So every few months, he sends out a link to everybody who's ever taken his class and says, here are the new materials I just went overseas and recorded. Because that's what he does when he's not teaching. He travels the world recording people speaking English with their native regional accent and dialect.
And you bring up a really good point, which is people talk a lot about accents and dialects in the voiceover world. So if you're going to use an accent or a dialect that is not native to you, it doesn't come naturally to you, you didn't live in that place, you weren't born there, I want you to know that we want you to be at bullseye if you're going to use that accent or dialect. And this is for my on-camera people as well. I want you to be authentic. I want you to disappear into the character. I want you to get hired for the job and know that if somebody's asking for a London British sound, that's really specific, and a vague British mishmash, everybody who's authentically born in the UK is going to be able to hear that. And so we want you to be able to nail it. And Jim Johnson is the guy to help you do that. So I want you to, and the caveat to that is if you're doing children's audiobooks, if you're doing animation for like a purple dinosaur who has glitter covered wings, then is it important that you nail the London accent? Well, if they just want general British, that depends on the casting director and the network. But if you're playing an authentic character born and raised in London, we want you to sound like an authentic London-born human. And there are people to help you get there, okay, both in the voiceover world and the on-camera world. So Jim Johnson is a beautiful reference. All right, let me talk for just a brief moment. And I'm going to, let me see if I can.
I saw you. You were awesome when you did that.
Thank Thank you very much. Love. Thank you very much. I actually lived in the United Kingdom for quite a while, and I have a British blood. I have a British bloodline, so I come by it sort of naturally, and I still needed to really do my work and my research to make sure I was in the center of the authenticity of it. So so thank you for the compliment. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to mute everybody because we're going to do some radical self-care. Yes. Now, before we do that, I'm going to do a super quick explanation of the chakra system. For those of you unfamiliar, chakras are spinning balls of light. They're about the size, so they tell us, I've never seen one personally, about the size of an orange. They are inside the body. They're spinning wheels of light and color. About a half an inch forward. Oop. That's to remind me to do the radical self-care. Okay, hold on. We're right on time. Let me shut off the alarm. The magical harp of destiny. Okay, where are you? Stop. Okay, good. Where am I? Spinning balls. Okay, so about a half an inch between your spine and your belly button. So a little bit forward from your spine. Mystics, seers, philosophers, scientists, researchers have claimed to have seen the same 7 spinning balls of light with the same color in the same position. So this is documented across many cultures and many thousands of years. There are way more than 7 chakras in your body, but there are 7 main ones. And so I'm going to just talk you through what they are from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Every color and every chakra governs a certain part of your physical experience. So the base of the spine, that color is red. That deals with all things material, living in the world, food, clothing, shelter, money, connection to material things. Then just above that, around your belly button, that one is orange. And that one is where creativity and sexuality live. They live in the same place. And so very often, if you're doing something very creative, you might feel a little friskier than normal. Or if you're frisky, you might get very creative. They're cousins. They affect each other. Really interesting, actually. One up from that is sort of like right beneath your rib cage in the solar plexus. That color is yellow. That governs anything to do with power, how you feel about power, how others have used power with you, how you use your power, whether you feel powerful or not powerful. That's in the 3rd chakra, which is yellow. Above that is in your heart center. It's green, all things to do with love, feeling loved, self-love, all forms of love, how you have been loved. If you have withheld love or been loving inappropriately, or have spiritual love or godly love, all forms of love that are possible sort of live in that chakra area. The 5th chakra is at the base of your throat. That color is blue. That's the communication chakra. This is really, really interesting. There are people who study this and the energetic connection between the chakra and what goes on in the body in terms of wellness and dis-ease. That if we get very angry and we're not speaking words that we want to speak, or we're holding words, or we are not being allowed to speak, or anything around communication, very often that'll settle here and can result in a sore throat or a scratchy throat or laryngitis. So there are people who say, in terms of energetic medicine, that where something shows up on your body is absolutely not random. And if you're looking through the lens of the chakras, that's information for you in terms of how to treat yourself with kindness, how to do your wellness to help whatever it is move through more quickly. It's just a really interesting thing to add into your self-care. The 6th chakra is here right between your eyebrows. That is often called the 3rd eye. That is purple. That is the seat of intuition and instinct. The top of the crown chakra is like a bright white, and that is the connection to something bigger. It can be connection to something spiritual, God, goddess. It doesn't have to be religious in any way. It can just be connection to humanity, to your ancestry, to anything outside of yourself. So those are the 7. So this is a radical self-care tool called the chakra meditation or the color meditation. So colors have very different frequencies and produce very different feelings in the body when we're interacting with them. In fact, there's this whole field of wellness care that involves color therapy. And it's used it's used pretty predominantly in some of the more higher centers of learning and also wellness centers and hospitals because it's produced such an impact. There's a reason why pediatric recovery centers have certain colors in them. There's a reason why Italian restaurants and certain restaurants use particular colors for their carpeting and for their tablecloths and for their menu items, certain colors evoke in us certain vibrations and feelings. Yeah. And so we want to be sovereign over that as voiceover artists and use it for our wellness and our care. So I invite you to, this is going to be about a 5-minute journey. So if you're not in the place to do this, you can watch it in the replay or invite you to just listen along. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. I'm going to keep my eyes open so I can watch you, but I'd like you to close your eyes and just notice. Always like to notice. This is a very good tool to check in with. If you're more comfortable turning off your camera, please feel free to do so. You're very safe in your Zoom square. I want you to feel very comfortable. So before we start this, I want you on a scale of 1 to 10 to notice where you are in terms of your calmness or your stress level. And 1 is you're so relaxed, you're a noodle. You might slither out of your chair and fall asleep. 10 is you're pretty stressed out. You might even consider having a panic attack. So 1 is noodle, 10 is panic. Just notice what is your number at the moment. There's only right answers. Just notice. Now, before we begin, I want you to just kind of like shake out your hands a little bit. We hold a tremendous amount of tension in our hands and our feet when we're sitting. Go ahead and waggle your feet a little bit if you can. Just shake out that tension. Roll your shoulder back, your shoulders, both if that's available to you, and forward. Take a deep breath in. And if this is available to you, if you're at work, you can do this in replay. Deep breath in and out with some sound. One more, deep breath in and out with some sound. I'm going to do this. Here we go. And now I'd like you to ask yourself this question, and there are only right answers here. And the question is, what color would be most nourishing or peaceful or helpful to me right now? And it's likely that you'll get an answer. And like I said, if it's chartreuse, if it's paisley, if it's fuchsia with glitter polka dots, whatever sort of color comes to you is the right color. And then with that color, I want you to imagine a giant beam of that color starting above your head, giant beam of that light. And I want you to allow it to come down through the top of your head and flood your head, every aspect, your skull, behind your eyes, your jaw, your tongue, behind your nose. And this light is very nourishing, and it is very good at taking with it as it moves through your body anything at all that you're ready to release today, anything at all. And so we're just going to allow this light to relax you. Go ahead and relax every aspect of your head, your tongue. We often hold so much tension in our tongue, even when we're not speaking. So swirl that light around there. And now let that light move down to your neck and swirl it around to your neck, relaxing your neck. If you feel the need to move, if your body wants to move, go ahead and let your neck move gently, very gentle. Perfectly acceptable to be still. It's whatever feels right to you. Your body will tell you. The body's always chatting with us. And it's wonderful to spend some time listening because that muscle gets stronger every time we do it. And now that light is going to go down into your chest area, your heart. Let it relax your lungs. They work very hard, beautifully breathing for you. We're going to relax them. Again, letting that light carry with it as it moves down anything you're ready to let go of, anything you want to release from today and you don't need to carry. And then we're going to split that beam of light in two. So one beam is going to go down through your left shoulder, your left forearm, out your left palm into the earth. The other down the right shoulder, the right forearm, out the right palm into the earth. And then the beam that was like around your chest, we're going to move that down into your torso and let that beam of light just relax and nourish your entire torso, your intestines, your belly, your liver, your kidneys, all those organs, everything in there just getting a bath of relaxation and nourishment. And again, letting that light take with it anything you are ready to release right now. And now we're going to move that light down into your pelvic area. And again, this is an area that holds a tremendous amount of tension from sitting. And just throughout the day, it carries our weight when we're standing. The center of our weight affects these bones more than a lot of other bones. So again, your pelvis works very hard for you, and this is an opportunity to just relax it deeply and release anything that's stored there that you'd like to let go of. And remember to breathe. If you're not breathing, remember to breathe deeply, regularly, whatever feels soothing to you in terms of your breath. There's no rush here. Now we're going to split this light again at your legs. So one column of light will go down your left leg, down your left calf, swirling around your left foot, out the sole of your left foot into the earth. On the other side, the same thing, down your right leg, behind your right knee, down your right calf, out your right foot into the center of the earth. And make sure you swirl some of that light around your knees. Knees also are a place that hold a tremendous amount of tension. And in the energetic world, they're very widely considered to be the place where we hold how we feel about moving forward in our life. So the knees are important if you're wanting to move forward in any area of your life. Some extra love or care or attention around your knees, both in the physical world to like be kind to them and stretch them and support them, and in the energetic world to sort of nourish them and clear out whatever might be settling in there is very, very helpful. So now you're just going to run that energy all the way through you, again, from the top of your head, splitting so it goes out each arm, out your palms, down your body, splitting at each leg, out the soles of your feet. And I'm going to be quiet for just a moment. In fact, I'm going to be quiet for about 60 seconds. And just run that energy and relax deeply and let that energy nourish you and carry away whatever you don't need today. And I'll be back in a minute. And now very gently, I want to invite you to come back into office hours, into the chair you're sitting in. Just become aware of your body. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit, move your shoulders a little bit. And when you're ready, you can come all the way back in and open your eyes. Take your time. Nice indeed. Okay. Bring up the chat here. Okay. That was about 15 minutes altogether. You can do a much shorter version of that if you don't have the time. I want you to sort of check in gently again on your number, the number that you checked in on at the beginning. 1 was you're a relaxed noodle and you're falling asleep, and 10 is maybe you're going to panic. Only right answers. I just want you to notice if your number has shifted at all. And for most folks, the number will have shifted even a number or two, which is significant. 10% is a big deal. If you're having a particularly stressful or overwhelmed day, then maybe it would take 15 minutes. If you have 20 minutes, you can stay in this energy for as long as you like. And the color that is most nourishing for you can change at any moment, because we are beautiful, gorgeous, snowflake, messy masterpieces. The thing that's most going to help us 20 minutes from now is maybe not the thing that's going to help us in this moment, which is why I love to empower you to ask the question, what color would be most nourishing or most helpful for me right now? Because you can ask that question as many times a day as you like. How was that for everybody? Any feedback? Doug, yes, 1 p.m. Thank you for showing up. So nice to see you. Oh, somebody said spell chakra, C-H-A-K-R-A or A-K-R-A-H, depending. Chakra. You can Google them and spend 10 million hours learning about wonderful, wonderful chakras. There's lots of things on the internet. This was magnificent. We are at the top of our hour. The hour flies. Oh, yes, sorry, thank you. I wanted to send it to everyone in the meeting. Hold on, let me send it. Chakra or chakra. And questions, thoughts, comments. Let me put myself in gallery view so I can see everybody. Hi, everybody. Just delightful. Delightful. All right, everybody, take yourself off mute. You know how I love to end my office hours. Raise your right hand. Grab the back of your left shoulder. Please repeat after me. I am Voiceover Awesome.
I am Voiceover Awesome.
I hung out with my Voiceover Village today.
I hung out with my Voiceover Village today.
So the world is lucky to have me.
The world is lucky
to have me. Yay me.
Yay.
Yay me. Yay! Yay, everybody.